If they are willing to join us, they join us as one among equals.
Hiyo haimaanishi kwamba hatuwezi kuungana tena. Hiyo NASA kazi yake ilikwisha. Lakini huko mbele tutakuja pamoja.
Indeed. Welcome to the program. Now, the ANC party, Ford Kenya and the Wiper party have given the official proclamation to dissolve NASA and focus on a new coalition, the One Kenya Alliance. Now, the season of coalitions of convenience appears to set in with the election a year and 6 days away tonight. And is it yet another edition of the musical chairs show, with the same players jumping from one election vehicle to another? On Newsnight tonight, that's the question we discuss. And we want to hear from ODM woman representative from Homa Bay, Gladys Wanga, Ford Kenya, Member of Parliament from Kiminini, Chris Wamalwa, the ANC Deputy Party Leader, Kasim Tandaza, who's the MP for Matuga, and of course, Norman Magaya, Head of Political Affairs at the Wiper Party, will also be joining us. And that is coming up alongside these other top stories.
It is now official that NASA does not exist.
This would be a day the Chinese would describe as sweet and sour.
Done and dusted. NASA parties finally file divorce documents with registrar. The Turkish connection and the political fallout. The intrigues that derailed Ruto's Uganda trip.
Tumekuwa tukisalimiana kwa mkono, ilikuwa njia moja ya heshima sana. Kuja kwa familia lazima usalimie watu, mkumbatiane.
22 deaths and 15% positivity rate in Kenya. WHO raises the alarm as Kenyans throw caution to the wind.
Na afadhali angeamfunja mguu ama mkono ili asiende kuliko kumuua.
A deadly love story. Man wanted over girlfriend's murder in suspected crime of passion. Well, hello there once again. Welcome to the program on this third day of August 2021. Our sign language interpreter is Yulan Zale, and you can weigh in on all our stories and the discussion using the SMS line 22422, and the hashtag is Newsnight. Now, a decision to bar Deputy President William Ruto from traveling to Uganda yesterday on a private visit has raised a series of questions and political theories as the countdown to next year's general election continues. While the office of the president insists that the country's second-in-command had not sought clearance from President Uhuru Kenyatta, Ruto's allies read malice in the aborted trip. The presence of a Turkish businessman, Harun Aydin, in Ruto's entourage has also triggered debate amid claims that he had terror links. We'll be getting more details from Francis Gashuri, who'll be bringing us that report shortly. But before we get to that, the National Super Alliance, I want to talk a bit about that. And the divorce appears to be all but officially confirmed after the Registrar of Political Parties received 3 letters from Wiper, ANC and Ford Kenya parties indicating that they were formally withdrawing from the coalition. The 3 parties say they have the green light to begin their One Kenya Alliance journey. But as Stephen Leto reports, their exit could be just the beginning of their problems in Parliament, as ODM now becomes the minority party entitled to all reserved minority seats.
After long protracted divorce proceedings among National Super Alliance principals, the 4-year formation seems to have come to an end.
So barua ya ANC iko hapa, barua ya Ford Kenya iko hapa, na barua ya Wiper iko hapa. It is now official that NASA does not exist.
After the signing ceremony in Nairobi's Karen, the 3 NASA affiliates, through their party officials, presented their withdrawal letters to the Registrar of Political Parties in Westlands, Nairobi. All the 3 letters stamped as received, officially folding the outfit that they used in the race to State House in 2017.
Once the registrar has stamped officially receipt of these letters, that it is now done or the deed is done. So I hope with that we shall put closure to that particular issue.
The three parties bullish about their move, insisting that the NASA divorce was about when and not if.
This would be a day the Chinese would describe as sweet and sour. Sour because a dream that captured the imagination of Kenyans, called NASA, has reached an end today through what our statement described as a trust deficit bedeviled by machinations and selfish maneuvers by some of our members. It is now part of our history.
Sisi pia ODM tumesema kitu imekufa hawezi baki kwa mkono wetu. Wacha tu sisi tutoke. Hatuwezi kuwa tunabeba mwili ambaye imekufa. Mwili inafaa isiko sio mleo. Tunasema Secretary General itangaza amesema ODM pia imetoka. Kwa sababu wanataka kuachia sisi mwili ambaye imekufa ambaye hajui wale kupeleka.
However, at stake in the just concluded divorce is the political parties fund, ODM, now saying it had ceded ground to former partners as a sign of goodwill.
Because for us, it was an ex gratia payment made in consideration of our long-standing friendships. It was not based on any legal basis because, as we have explained time and again, the only shareable money was the money that was attributed to the presidential vote.
The dissolution of NASA now leaves ODM as the minority party and Jubilee as the majority party. This means that ODM is entitled to all House leadership slots reserved for the minority party since the NASA outfit no longer exists in the House.
And I can tell you that we have had discussions with Senator Junior Mutula Junior and Mheshimiwa Robert Mbui. They also know everybody is ready for any eventuality.
They will not relinquish. They are in Parliament. They have every right to hold positions. Now that NASA is no longer there, a new mechanism designed under the standing orders managed by the Speaker will guide on how we handle those things.
The end of NASA opening a path to the making of the One Kenya Alliance that they say will emerge as a formidable force to take power after the next general election. More partners invited to OKA, the divorced ODM party included.
I want to invite you to go and read the history of Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. And they are alive in Hollywood. They married and divorced 5 times.
Hatuna chuki na yeyote yule, bali tuna imani kwamba Wakenya watatuunga mkono.
Already, One Kenya Alliance has okayed the start of coalition building with the team, already drafting a manifesto document in Manzoni. All the 4 partners have appointed 2 members each to a working technical committee. Wiper Party has forwarded Senators Mutula Kilonzo Jr. and Enoch Wambua to the technical committee. Musalia Mudavadi's ANC has fronted Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala and Nambale lawmaker Sakwa Bunyasi to sit on the OKA table. Ford Kenya sending Kitutu Chache South legislator and its deputy party leader Richard Onyonka and Kiminini MP Chris Wamalwa to the working group. Gideon Moise Kanu forwarding Tiati MP William Kamket and Fafi MP Abdi Karim Osman. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
And remember, we'll be talking about that with my guests a bit later on in the program. You can weigh in with your questions and comments, 22422, and the hashtag is Newsnight. But now, to a story of how COVID-19 is ravaging a village in Kikuyu, Kiambu County. At least 12 people are reported to have succumbed to the deadly virus in just 2 weeks. These include a man, his wife, and a daughter-in-law who all died in a span of 10 days. And as Martin Munene reports, the deadly virus is leaving a trail of pain, loss and despair, with local leaders calling for the supply of more vaccines.
A village in mourning. The fresh graves are telling a story of how the Delta variant has forced its way even in the rural areas. In the last 2 weeks, these have been the scenes in Gikambura village. A burial after another. 12 deaths attributed to the COVID-19 pandemic. And as the village struggles to come to terms with the sting of death, the families of the victims are such as Charles Muthiora, his wife Susan and a daughter-in-law are sending a warning to all that we are in dangerous times.
Tuko kwa masisi ya my brother who has passed away. Who passed away last week on Tuesday. He has been in the ICU for 12 days, but unfortunately he never made it. 22nd, we buried his wife, who also suffered from the same COVID-19. So we have lost 3 people within a week of the same family.
Kuko kubaya. Ukienda hata ije ya Kamago utakuta tu hema ya mazishi. Kama leo area hii tumetoa watu 3. Huyu ndio alikuwa wa mwisho. Tumetoa 2 St. Teresa na mwingine Kikuyu Hospital, na watu wote hata ni kama mmekuja mmeona arrows ni watu wanaenda area moja.
The family attributing the surge in COVID-19 deaths and infections to the recent political activities in Kiambu, especially the by-elections, urging Kenyans to adhere to the COVID-19 containment protocols.
Tunaona ni kama ile exaggeratiwa na ile ilikuwa Kiamba. Ile siasa ilikuwa Kiamba. Sababu hapo breni hatukuwa na shida.
Kulikuwa na hii kampeni ya Kiamba. Because like we went to Tigoni, there were so many bodies that were being removed on the same day that we were taking Mrs. Charles. So we are requesting the government to even, if possible, to have a lockdown.
Area MCA calling on government to provide vaccines to the people, with Kiambu Governor James Nyoro saying that the hospitals are strained and they are running out of oxygen.
We are already overwhelmed in Tigoni, and we may not be able to take any more patients, not because they have exhausted our beds, but because we cannot cope with provision of oxygen. We are now receiving 4 tons of oxygen every 12 hours.
Hii mambo ya vaccine wahakikishe imefikia watu wetu vizuri. Juu hii kitu inakuja kidogo kidogo, watu wetu hawajapata vaccine vizuri. Na niwaambie watu wetu pia wasione kama hii vaccine ni kitu ambayo sio ya maana, ni kitu inasaidia.
Martin Munene, Citizen TV.
On a related note, it's emerging tonight that the number of COVID-19 related deaths in Africa has risen by 80% in the last 1 month, owing to the new Delta variant. The World Health Organization, WHO, says the new variant is more easily transmitted and results in severe COVID cases. So concerning, or rather so concerning, is the situation that China's Wuhan city, where COVID-19 first emerged in late 2019, has now ordered the testing of all its 12 million residents. But here in Kenya, the majority of citizens appear to have dropped their guard, despite the positivity rate jumping to an alarming 15% today. Let's get more details now, and this story was produced by Ben Kirui.
With hospitals filling up and oxygen supplies running thin, the WHO says the situation is at alarming levels. World Health Body telling CNN that Africa is dealing with unprecedented surge in new infections and deaths. Even China, which appeared to have contained the virus, is now alarmed. Its city of Wuhan, where the virus was first reported in 2019, has now moved to test all its 12 million residents for the Delta variant. But here in Kenya, the majority do not appear to have taken the cue. A spot check in various parts of the country revealed that many have gone back to factory settings. The same forms of greetings are no longer observed.
We notice that people want to be close to each other. People want to, to have that contact. So it's important for us to recognize that accepting that you won't shake hands is acceptable, but you need to be polite about it.
In the last 24 hours alone, the COVID-19 positivity rate shot to 15.4% after 1,085 people tested positive from 7,067 samples in the last 24 hours. 25 succumbed to the virus as the death toll hit 3,995. But still, many, especially in rural areas, won't give up the highly dangerous practice of handshaking, saying it has important historical and cultural meanings and remains a gesture of goodwill and respect.
Naona kusalimiana kwa mkono ni ile njia moja ya upendo. Yani unaona unajisikia.
Mimi kama culture yangu ni ya watu wa Mrembe. Tumekuwa tukisalimiana kwa mkono, ilikuwa njia moja ya heshima sana. Kuja kwa familia lazima usalimie watu, mkumbatiane.
Wanasalimiana kwa kugota, na in short naonanga ni kama wakati mwingine ni kukosa heshima, kwa sababu huwezi gota mtu mkubwa mwenye anayekushinda.
However, as others consider other options that allows etiquette and politeness like elbow bump and fist bump, health experts warn that neither is safe.
Safest greetings are the ones that have a distance. Remember that even for you to do an elbow bump, you have to be within 1 meter to each other. Yet we are advising people to observe social distance. So there is the risk of being close to each other, touching each other, and the fact that you could have lingering viruses around the elbow.
Experts fear a fourth wave of the pandemic may be more deadly than previous ones if Kenyans continue ignoring the basics of hand washing, social distancing, and wearing of masks.
And now let me take you back to our top story. A decision to bar Deputy President William Ruto from traveling to Uganda yesterday on a private visit has raised a series of questions and political theories as the countdown to next year's general election continues. While the Office of the President insists that the country's second-in-command had not sought clearance from President Uhuru Kenyatta, Ruto's allies read malice in the aborted trip. The presence of a Turkish businessman, Harun Aydin, in Ruto's entourage has also triggered debate amid claims that he had terror links. Let's get more details from Francis Gashuri.
More than 24 hours after his trip to Entebbe, Uganda was unceremoniously cancelled, Deputy President William Ruto remained holed up in his current official residence amid a national debate triggered by the Wilson Airport incident. 3 lawmakers, Oscar Sudi, Ndindi Nyoro and Benjamin Tayari, as well as businessmen David Bett and David Kipkoech, returned home from Entebbe, Uganda. However, a Turkish businessman, Harun Aydin, who left with the entourage Monday afternoon, did not travel back to Nairobi, according to a copy of the passenger manifest obtained by Citizen TV. Aydin's inclusion in the travel party has raised a series of questions after he was linked with suspected terror activities. He has visited Kenya several times since 2018, despite his arrest and prosecution in 2001 in Frankfurt, Germany, where he faced charges of planning a series of acts of violence as a member of a terrorist group. However, Kapsaret lawmaker Oscar Sudi, who traveled with Aydin to Uganda, dismissed the terror links, insisting he was an investor in modern fruit farming. Sources indicating that Ruto was to hold a series of meetings with businessmen in Uganda in his second trip to the country in less than a month. He had attended similar meetings in Zanzibar, a move that, according to sources at State House, has triggered suspicion. Other than cutting deals, the Uganda meetings are also seen as Ruto's avenue to consolidate a financial war chest ahead of next year's general election. With questions raised on Museveni's role in the business deals and Ruto's presidential bid, Sudi, who was in the Entebbe delegation, said it would be impossible to hoodwink the Ugandan president into deals with Aydin if he had questionable reputation. The controversial Uganda trip sparking debate in the National Assembly.
The deputy president is a constitutional office in this country. And when a deputy president visits a neighboring country, the protocol officers needs to know that there must be a consultation between the office of the deputy president and the office of the presidency. Mr. Speaker, this has exposed our deputy president to ridicule. In a manner which has been played to be political rather than what it is.
I think it is shocking that it's coming from Honorable Kajwang, a man who will go to Uhuru Park and swear in one of the leaders of this country, unconstitutionally. But I think the important, Honorable Speaker, the important thing is there is nothing substantively before the House.
Mr. Speaker, you know, it was also shocking for me, for Honorable Kajwang to speak things which are not supposed to be done by ranking members. because it must be very clear that the Constitution is clear and he cannot pretend to be talking on behalf of the Deputy President. That is ridicule and we cannot allow that.
Mr. Speaker, this is a matter of national importance. That a Deputy President can be bad. We must know the reason. We must know whether the honorable members of Parliament had sought the Speaker's attention as is required under the standing orders. So I think what Honorable TJ asked is a valid point.
As to whether those members have sought permission or not, you really have to seek Speaker's permission to get whether it was actually done or not. So that is not a matter that should be discussed at all. But as to whether you want to bring any other issues, of course there are stipulated procedures. You are free to do that any day.
Though the deputy president is accused of trying to leave the country without President Kenyatta's clearance, his spokesman David Mugonyi wondered why no such demands have been made previously. The Wilson Airport standoff, yet another confirmation of the fractured relationship between the president and his deputy on the eve of a State House succession race that Ruto is interested in.
God bless. Okay, bro. Thank you. Pongezi tena. You'll tell them, eh?
Yeah, I will.
Francis Gashuri, Citizen TV.
Away from politics, detectives probing the death of a 32-year-old woman have launched a manhunt for her boyfriend, suspected to have murdered her in an altercation that began when she revealed that she had gotten employment in Qatar. Golden Nyakundi allegedly stabbed Joyce Nyambura several times using a kitchen knife when she declined his persuasions to ditch the Qatar job opportunity and stay in Kenya. Hassan Mugambi reports.
Tuesday evening in Kamuthi area of Kahawa West, Kiambu County, and Joyce Nyambura visited her sister Hannah Waithera to share the good news that she was finally due to travel to Qatar for a job she had been searching for years on end. Waithera is a neighbor to Golden Nyakundi, Nyambura's boyfriend.
Wakakaa tu na huyo boyfriend yake wakiongea. Mimi unajua sikuona wakiwa na ubaya. Najua wanaendanga nyumbani masaa ya jioni, ikifika asubuhi wanakuja. Sasa mimi sikushindania. Ndio nilisema wataenda nyumbani wakuje nini? Wakuje asubuhi.
Waithera says that Nyakundi was angered by the realization that Joyce was due to travel to Qatar Friday last week. Just a walking distance away, an argument ensued and Joyce is reported to have stormed out.
Her walk back here at her sister's place after the alleged altercation between her and her boyfriend that ensued because of her trip to Qatar was to be the last she ever made. He is alleged to have followed her, stabbed her several times and left her for the dead.
Her sister, who lives here, was woken up by neighbors who pointed to a lifeless body lying in a pool of blood just meters away from her doorstep. It was Joyce.
Joyce wetu alikuwa mzuri sana. Mimi hata sitaki kukumbuka maneno yake. Ndio hata ndiye alikuwa ananisaidia kazi. Kila kitu nikiambia sister yangu yuko narudi nyuma. Hata akikuja kuliwa. Kama angekuja huko kwangu, angebuliwa.
About 4 kilometers away at Kiwanja area, Cecilia Mushiri, Joyce Nyambura's mother, is still in shock. She describes the injuries on her daughter's body.
Na kisu ya hapa hivi na ya hapa nyuma. Na kichwa alikuwa na masiraha mingi sana. Daktari akaniambia hii kisu ya hapa ndio imefanya kifo yake ipatikane haraka juu ni kama waligusa roho. Hiyo kisu iligusa roho.
She recounts promises by her daughter who despaired at the lack of a job in Kenya.
Alikuwa ameniambia mama nikienda huko ni faulu. Juu nakaa ukigonjeka hata hiyo kasi utaenda. Hiyo kibarua utakuwa unakaa hapa na watoto na mimi nasaidia watoto wangu wasome.
Detectives from Kasarani Police Station searched Nyakundi's house and recovered blood-soaked clothes and a kitchen knife believed to have been used in the murder. The suspect, who is still at large, had established a romantic relationship with a 32-year-old mother of 3 who lost her husband years back. Hassan Mugambi, Citizen.